On from GM Brian Gutekunst, but one of Rodgers' former teammates, James Jones, far more optimistic. Take a listen.
I speak with Aaron all the time. I talk to him a lot, and it has nothing to do about getting the GM fired. It has nothing to do about getting a new contract and getting money. You know what I mean? Everything that Aaron Rodgers has done since he's been a Green Bay Packer, this is not him. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and leak all this stuff and say he wants out of there and be giving all this stuff to the media. That's never been him. As a friend of Aaron Rodgers, I can say that it's not him. And it's never been him to do anything like that, you know? So when the organization side of it comes into place and you talk about, you know, him and the GM and the head coach working together, I think it's fixable. I think they'll be able to get that stuff done. But I think that's what it's about. It's not about getting the GM fired. It's not about new contract. It's all about making sure that you're putting the team in the best situation to win some championship. I truly feel like this is fixable. The head coach, the GM, Aaron Rodgers, this is a fixable matter that they can go in there. They can all get on the same page. They can communicate with each other. They can keep all this family business in-house, and whatever needs to get ironed out can get ironed out. But I do think Aaron Rodgers will be in that Packers uniform throwing that ball, and I truly believe that they could get this fixed.
You know, it feels like this is something that would have rung true, I would say, like 6 weeks ago. But so much seemingly has happened. I don't know. Brandon, what do you think? Is James Jones right that the situation is still fixable at this point?
Jenna, I love James Jones. I used to study his film. Oh, I love watching him and Aaron Rodgers just orchestrate that back shoulder. I mean, this dude was a 10-plus touchdowns a year in Green Bay just off of back shoulders and getting in the red zone and running the fade route. Absolutely love him. Love him as a commentator and what he does with NFL Network, a guy I look up to. But James Jones, you are wrong. Talking about it's not about that. It's about all of that, James Jones. Are you kidding me? It's about the contract. It's about the relationship with the general manager. Please, this is crisis management. This is Aaron Rodgers calling his buddy and say, buddy, help me out a little bit. Help me change the narrative. That's what it's about. It's okay. As players, we have to be okay getting a little uncomfortable. Sometimes you just want a change of scenery. But what happens is you don't want it to be disruptive. You don't want your image and your legacy to be tarnished. The same thing with Russell Wilson. What did Russell Wilson say? I just want to leave in a way. If I leave Seattle, I want to leave in a classy way. That's what these guys think of, especially the quarterback position where it's always, I got to be on point. I always got to be on. There's always cameras on me. People watching. I'm the CEO of this football team. So this is crisis management. It's about all that. Do I believe they can work it out? Absolutely. I believe in counseling. I believe in therapy. But it's going to be some intense counseling. It's going to be some intense therapy, Wiles. They need to sit down and hash these things out. But at the end of the day, it may just be time. It may just be Aaron Rodgers saying, you know what, all that stuff did matter, last year or maybe even a couple weeks ago. But now I just want to change the scenery. I've been here for 16 years, and I'm looking for something different. Hell, Tom Brady did it. And what did Tom Brady say after the NFC Championship when they beat him, Wiles? He said, look, I didn't know there was another way of doing things in the National Football League. So maybe that's what Aaron Rodgers is looking for.
Okay, I'm interested in that. I totally think it's fixable, and I think Aaron Rodgers wants to stay. For the simple reason is he hasn't said he wants to go. We've heard drips and drips and drips of information and all sorts of different reasons why he's upset, but he's never said anything. He hasn't called any radio show. He hasn't gone on IG Live. He had an opportunity to talk to Tirico at the Kentucky Derby, and he opted not to say anything. So he doesn't actually want to go, because if he wanted to go, he would just plainly say it. Now, Nick, what I think is the most interesting part is, what does Green Bay have to do? What does Brian Gutekunst have to do? Well, does he have to, quit? I don't think so. Does there need to be actionable moves on Green Bay's part? Or can it just be like an emotional counseling? Like, does he have to trade for OBJ? Do they have to trade Jordan Love? So that's the big question to me. Is it just an emotional sort of like, let's calm down our feelings here? Or does there need to be some sort of action and move made to the roster that will make Aaron Rodgers feel better?
So I disagree with you to a degree, Wilds. I do think Aaron Rodgers wants to leave, but he just blinked first. And if you blink first in a negotiation, you're not going to win it. And you're right, Brandon. This is Aaron Rodgers not being comfortable being uncomfortable and hitting up James Jones and saying, can you clean some of this stuff up for me? And the Packers heard that. And the Packers are like, okay, he's not going to take this to the wall. To me, that's what this signaled. The idea that he's not going to show up for training camp, he doesn't even want a week of bad headlines. And so if I'm the Packers, I feel drastically better about this situation this morning. Because, listen, when Russell Wilson was going through his stuff with Seattle, and I am not saying that Brandon's relationship with Russell is the same as James's relationship with Aaron, but I bet there are some similarities. Brandon was very informed every step of the way, it seemed, about that, and made it and never came on this show and said he hates it there, they've got to trade him, he's never coming back. And that was informed information. The reports that had come out prior to James Jones was he thinks the GM's a buffoon, he was telling free agents not to sign there, he's considering retirement. And then James Jones with the qualifier of, I talk to Aaron all the time. So let me just tell you, no, it's not about any of that. It's about wanting to win. It's about wanting to be involved. If I'm the Packers, I'm like, okay, he got bored this offseason. It's a bluff. And if Aaron, now to me, Brandon, if Aaron wants to regain the upper hand, he has to do what Wildes has been saying all along he needs to do. He needs to go on the record. And I don't know that Aaron is going to go on the record.
I don't think he is, and I think you're totally right. Like, he blinked first, and now he's uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Look, I'm a guy that had to work on interpersonal relationships early on in my career. We talked about it early in the show with Jamal Murray. Like, the reason why Jamal Murray tried you and not me is probably because a few of the stories that's still circulating out in the Denver metropolitan area, right? So I'm a guy that had to work on interpersonal relationships with my teammates, with my coaches, general managers. Go back to Ryan Fitzpatrick and said, man, I'm sorry, Ryan. Like, that second year we were together and that moment we had in practice, I'm sorry, brother. And so I say all that to say this. Aaron Rodgers, it's reported, it's talked about, widely talked about, his relationship with friends, his relationship with family, his relationship with other people. And it gets to a point where you're carrying this load and you're carrying all this drama, and it's just tiring. It's frustrating. You just get tired. So Aaron Rodgers now is looking at this like, do I really want to go through another 3 months, 4 months of fighting someone else, right? So I don't think Aaron Rodgers now wants to go through that. I think Aaron Rodgers is sitting here now saying, you know what, let me just try to make this work in Green Bay. But, it's going to be interesting, because Aaron Rodgers, he wants to get out. He said it, right? Those reports are true. No one's coming out saying it's